Welcome to the GetRealWealth.com radio show, where wealth means a lot more than just building a second stream of income. Listen and learn how 70% of the millionaires in America used real estate to create a lifestyle that most people only dream about. A lifestyle that includes good health, family, romance, travel, charity, and all the other parts of a balanced life. Now, here is your host, real estate investor and mentor, Steve Davis.
Good afternoon. Whereas always, we're here talking about having a better life financially. Stop living from paycheck to paycheck. Stop being unable to ever retire like 95% of Americans. It's about building a second stream of income using real estate that allows you to spend more time with your family, more time for fitness, more time for charity, more time for romance. It's just, we're talking about leading a higher quality of lifestyle. And today I want to talk about the opportunity you have between now and April 3rd in the Houston area. As most everybody knows, we're going to be isolated in our homes till April 3rd. And a lot of people look at that as negative. For a lot of people, it is negative because they can't go to work, they can't get a paycheck. And, you know, just as I mentioned, so many people live paycheck to paycheck that when something like this happens, it's not like a wave hitting you in the ocean. It's like a tsunami for these people. It's a terrible situation. But here's the thing. You have no control. It does absolutely zero good to get upset about it, to beat yourself up about it, to beat your company up about it. It's just a complete waste of time and energy. There are certain things that are out of your control, and you have to be wise enough to recognize that and just turn it into something positive. Because here's what's positive about it. You now have the next 7 days to read, study, and grow your mind. You can bet I'm going to take these next 7 or 8 days, however many days it is, and I'm going to do that. And I highly recommend that you do that. It could literally change your life to where you get the right material and you read it during this time off, and you'll be a different person from that point forward. Books are life-changing if you read them, believe them, and take action on the material that's in the books. You know, and I've offered everybody our reading list, and I'll offer it again. If you want to know what books to read that I recommend, email me. It's asksteve@getrealwealth.com. asksteve@getrealwealth.com. I'll even include The Richest Man in Babylon in a PDF that you can read immediately. The rest you can, download on your Kindle or download the audio and listen to them. Let's put it this way. You don't have to leave the house to get this information. But I suggest you do turn this negative into a positive by reading, listening to CDs, and studying, so that you don't waste the next 7 or 8 days. You improve yourself, you improve your mind, you improve your financial destiny during that time period. Turn a negative into positive. So again, if you want that reading list and that free book, email me. It's asksteve@getrealwealth.com. asksteve@getrealwealth.com. Well, what we're going to talk about today is the maturity continuum from Stephen Covey and how it relates to business, which what I'm doing is I'm really combining two ideas. And if you would like to study these more, the two books are The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Dr. Stephen Covey, and then The E-Myth, the E stands for entrepreneurial, The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. And these two books combine to really explain why most people never get out of the dependent stage of life. See, there's, according to Covey, in his maturity continuum, there's basically 3 stages of life. There's the dependent stage, the independent stage, and then something that very few people know about. It's the interdependent stage. Interdependent. When you add in Michael Gerber's information, you would go from job to self-employed to business owner, and those match up. Dependent stage is when you have a job. Independent stage is when you're self-employed. Interdependent stage is when you truly own a business. And let's make a distinction now on the difference between being self-employed and owning a business. Remember, if you disappear from your business, quote unquote, and you make less money than if you were there, then that's not a business. That is self-employment. Now, a lot of you are irritated with me right now. You're going, but doggone it, I own a business. I pay the bills. I'm responsible. I started it. This is my business. Guess what? That's ego-based crap. You do not own a business unless you can disappear for a year and make the same amount of money as if you were working. See, if your business, quote unquote, requires you to be there to make money, that's not a business. It's self-employment. Then if you still don't believe me, go look at your tax return. Go look at your tax return. Did you pay Social Security on the income from your business? If you did, guess what? You're self-employed. You're employed. See, when you own a business, you don't pay Social Security. It's business income. It's capital gains. So I know that's frustrating, but you need to make that distinction or you'll never move to interdependence and you'll stay in the independent stage of life because you think that's the ultimate. That's as far as I can go. But it's not. There's another level, interdependence. Let me define it this way. If you look at the 11 apartment complexes that I owned, I only saw 4 or 5 of them. And that was literally just to drive by. I was only inside 1 or 2 of them, and that was just for company meetings. I was only in 2 of them. I never had a key. I never knew the entry code. I never met the property manager. I never did anything. For years. Some of those I owned for 7 years. Never even saw them. See, that's a business. And when I put it on my tax return, do I pay Social Security on that? No. It's just capital gains because it's a business. And again, I know this can be painful for those of you who thought you owned a business and now you're suddenly realizing you're just self-employed. It's okay. Do you realize how much smarter you are right now? You now know that there's another level. Now that you know, you can start taking action steps to get yourself to that level. Okay, this is the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. If you want that reading list, email me now. It's asksteve@GetRealWealth.com. AskSteve@GetRealWealth.com. You're listening to AM 700, the voice of Texas. Thanks for listening. Did you know that 70% of the millionaires in America used real estate as their main investment vehicle? You can and should have some real estate in your portfolio. This is Steve Davis, host of the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Starting with bad credit and no money at age 27, I began investing in real estate. By 30, I was retired. I will be explaining this at a free 2-hour introductory workshop this month. If you would like to attend, go to GetRealWealth.com. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thank you for listening. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. If you've got a question for me, or if you want this reading list so you have something to do the next 8 days while you're stuck at home, email me. It's asksteve@getrealwealth.com. asksteve@getrealwealth.com. So we're talking about Stephen Covey's Maturity Continuum. The book, again, is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I've just gone over the misunderstanding that people have about the independent stage. They think that they own a business when they're really simply self-employed. And by the way, is there anything wrong with being self-employed? Absolutely not. Self-employed is awesome. Congratulations. But you do need to understand that there's another level that you're supposed to be aiming for, not just being self-employed. Because if you stay self-employed, what happens when you die? Your company dies with you. You've got to eventually reach a point where that thing runs without you. And that is when you can retire. That's when you can have fun, do whatever you want, or start another business. You know, it's up to you. But let's talk about dependence now and the misunderstanding that people have about that. Because from the time we're old enough to walk, what do our parents start telling us? To be independent. To be independent. And they coach us, and everything we're told is be independent, get a job, pay your own bills. You know, if you need a degree, get one. Get that high-paying job. Don't worry about a job you love. Just get a high-paying job. Oh, that is the worst advice ever, by the way. Go out there, get a job, and then you'll be independent. Well, guess what? That's wrong too. You're not independent. You're still dependent. Think about it. If you get an allowance for doing chores around the house every week, what stage are you at? You're in the dependent stage. If you go take a job at Microsoft and get a paycheck every week for doing chores around Microsoft, what stage are you still at? Dependent. See, you're still in a dependent stage. But can you see why people get confused? They're told all their lives that getting a job and paying your own bills is independent. No, you're still dependent on a job or corporation for your income. You're still in a dependent stage. It's not until you become self-employed that you are in the independent stage. And then, again, there is the third level, interdependence, when you actually own a business. And this is, you've got to do this before you can retire. You know, it made me so sad. I had a favorite restaurant where every day I would go in there, well, not every day, but every time I would go in there, and it was once a week or more, there was the owner cooking, and he had his little calculator. When he wasn't cooking, he was at the front with a calculator doing numbers. Now when I think about it, it's like, that just doesn't make a lot of sense. But you can see he was so into that self-employed mindset that if you want it done right, you have to do it yourself. If that's the case, you know what that means? You suck as a leader. If you can't train somebody to do something as well as you do it, you stink as a leader. I know that's brutal, but that's the bottom line. You know, it's like when I see somebody fire 20 people in a few years, I'm like, you suck. You couldn't lead your way out of a paper bag with both ends torn out. That's horrible. You've got to understand that to move through these stages in the maturity continuum, what's the key word there? Maturity. You have to mature. See, I have learned there is nothing that I do that I can't train someone else to do just as effectively. In fact, if I'm any good at all, they're going to do better than I do. Better. And I say this all the time. It's because they don't suffer from the same fears and insecurities that I do. If I'm their mentor, it's so easy for me to look at people and go, I see your insecurities. I can see them. I sit down with somebody in 30, 45 minutes, and I can tell you their insecurities from top to bottom. Can I do that for myself? Much more difficult. Much, much more difficult. So if I'm training someone and I can peg their insecurities and eliminate them for them, and I train them how to do what I'm doing, can you see why they would be better than me? You know, your kids are supposed to do better than you. I know people who are jealous of their kids. That is sick, man. How in the sick? I know mentors who are jealous of their successful mentees. If you're a good mentor, they're supposed to do better than you. Because we still suffer as mentors from our own personal insecurities. You know, why do I spend $10,000, $20,000 a year on continuing education? Why do I go see Tony Robbins? Why do I go see Stephen Covey? Because I'm looking for them to help me with my fears and insecurities. Does that make sense? So, as an independent, a self-employed person, you have to mature to the point that you can train others to do what you're doing. Oh, and then don't hit me with I can't find good people. That means you suck at something else, which is recruiting. See, it's your fault. I can't find good people. That's because you aren't good at that. I can't find people I can train. That's because you aren't good at that. Read a book on training. Read a book on recruiting. And get better. And stop hiding behind it's the other person's fault. There aren't any good people out there. I think in 20 years, I went through 3 people. That was it. Longer than that, 27 years. I went through 3 people. And I don't even think I fired. One of them I was lied to and fired him. But if you're going through people at your company, you suck as a leader. You can't train, you can't do a good job, you don't know their job, so you can't train them, which means you're not qualified to be the leader to begin with. You've got to become the leader of your self-employment if you're ever going to get out of self-employment, which we all have to do, unfortunately, because we get old and we eventually can't work. So you've got to prepare for that. It's negative, I get it, but it's something you have to prepare for. So you want to be, if you've ever said this, I can't find good people, guess what? That's your fault. Go do something about it. Take action. Read some books on recruiting. Talk to people who are successful at recruiting until you figure out the formula for recruiting good people. Then, if you're having trouble training people, work on that. Work on the way you communicate. Work on the way you discipline. Work on the way, whatever it is that you're having trouble with, there's books on it. You know, people run around and they're going, oh, I got this problem. And for some reason they think they're the only person on earth that has that problem. I promise you, go to the library. Go to Amazon.com. Type in at Amazon.com, I swear to you, type in the problem that you have. Relationships. Training employees. And hit enter. There'll be dozens of books on that particular subject. It's amazing. We live in such an incredible world. This is definitely, as Bill Gates said, the best time to be alive in human history. And the funny thing is, it's just getting better. This information is getting out there so much more quickly. Our access to it is so much easier. I mean, you can download these books, put them on your phone. The minute you walk in your car, sit in your car, it turns them on, and you're educating yourself while you're commuting to work. It's amazing. Incredible opportunities here right now. Oh, by the way, let's go to the phone lines and go to Spring and talk to John. John, I'm sorry I didn't see you quicker. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you, sir?
Excellent. How can I help?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm a passive in some apartment complexes.
Okay.
And one of the question I have for you has to do with the refi cash out.
All right.
Okay, and the folks that are in charge of this are asking for a vote to do this cash out. And the question I have is, when you receive the cash out refi, does that reduce your interest that you have in the apartment complex, or do you keep the total amount that you have?
Yeah, you just get, let's say you're a 5% owner. I don't know what you are, but just pretend it's 5%. You get a cash out refi, you don't owe any taxes on it because it's a loan, and you're still 5% owner.
Okay. That is my question.
All right, John, I appreciate
answer.
the phone call.
Very good. Thank you. Appreciate the radio show. Listen to it all the time.
All right, thank you, John. I appreciate it. You have a great day.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to go to break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the maturity continuum, and I'll give you a couple of encouraging words about it, and then we'll start hitting some of these emails and bigger pocket questions. This is the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. You're listening to AM 700, the voice of Texas. Thanks for listening. 70% of the millionaires in America used real estate as their main investment vehicle. Listen to the GetRealWealth.com radio show to find out how you can do it too. Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. right here on AM 700 KSEV, the voice of Texas. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. Phone lines are open, 281-558-5738. That's 281-558-5738. Or you can email me at asksteve@getrealwealth.com. Asksteve@getrealwealth.com. Now, a lot of you are sending me the request for the reading list and that one book in PDF. Just give me time because there's so many of them that it's going to take me probably 30 minutes to get all these out. But don't think I forgot about you. We'll get them to you as soon as possible. Okay, last few thoughts about the maturity continuum. One is, it's a principle that you have to go through all three stages. Those of you that are self-employed and thought that was the end game, this can be a shock because you're like, man, I really thought this was it. I'm a doctor, I'm a roofer, I'm a plumber, I thought I owned a business, but I'm really just self-employed. Because you have to face the negative fact that you eventually get too old to work. Some people get to an age where they don't want to work anymore. Some, it's health reasons. Others, eventually, gosh, so negative, just die, they pass on. So it is important for you to understand that your goal is to get to that level called interdependence. Because how many of you built a business that you now realize is self-employment and you want that to disappear when you die? Nobody. You don't want your business to disappear when you die. If you want it to continue, what do you have to do? You have to switch it to a true business that will run without you. And the sooner you do that, the better. Don't put it off. That restaurant I was telling you about, and I never finished the story. He was in there every doggone day that I went in there with his little calculator, or he was in the back cooking. Well, he was a very unhealthy guy, morbidly obese. He passed. Guess what happened to the restaurant? The next day, it's gone. My favorite Italian restaurant, gone. Because he didn't know. He didn't read, obviously. He didn't know that he was supposed to set up an interdependent business. And can you see also, don't wait. Don't make it independent when you're 70. Do it now. Now, if you're 70, you got to do it when you're 70. If you're already 70. But if you're 40, 50, do it now. Do not put it off. Because think of the benefit. What if you, tomorrow, could walk away from that self-employment and it would run anyway? What would that mean to you and your family? What would that mean to your quality of lifestyle? What would that mean as far as time? Would you have more time to exercise, romance your wife, travel? Of course. So you want to do this now. You want to start focusing on interdependence now, not later. And everything you do from today, because you've heard this radio show, you can't unhear it. You now know there's a third level, interdependence, and you now know that you have to eventually get there or you're going to lose your entire company. Start taking the action steps necessary to get to interdependence. And I'll tell you what those action steps are. One, if you don't know how to train people and you don't know how to hire good people, guess what you better focus on immediately? Those are your two first action steps. You've got to become a better leader. You've got to learn how to inspire people, learn how to respect people, learn how to train people. It's phenomenal once you do it. I mean, there is nothing, like I've got a 7-person team. There's not one person on my team that I don't trust 100%. Not one, even my newest guy. Because there's so many good people out there. They're just being mismanaged. You know, it's that meme where it says people don't leave jobs, they leave bad managers. I believe that with very little exception. They leave bad managers. If you lose 20 employees in a 4 or 5 year period, you got a problem, and it's you. You've got to become more of a leader. You've got to be able to, you should know, especially if it's your self-employment, you should know either how to train or how to do every single job below you. Now this sounds crazy, but how can you lead somebody if you don't even know what they do? It's very discouraging. Now, do you have to, let's take my IT guy, who's literally an IT genius. I don't know how to do the IT, but I do know how to do sales, which is what IT is there for. So I constantly work with him on that angle and give him kind of a free rein on the stuff that he knows that I don't. And that's not risky if you're the proper leader, if you're inspiring, encouraging. What is the other word for it? There's another word. I'll think of it and I'll share it with you when I do remember it. But that's what you've got to do. And there's books on it. Probably even audio books on it, that you can just listen to them over and over again till it gels in your mind. And make a commitment to be a better leader, a better recruiter, a better trainer, and you'll be amazed that there's so much potential. I'm trying to figure out who said this, but there was somebody who said that something like 70% of most employees' brains go unused by the company they work for. 70, and it may have been higher than that. And I totally agree with that. Because inside my company, everything I do, now this may sound crazy, you're like, well, you're the boss, you don't have to ask. I know I don't have to ask. But I get 7 opinions on everything I do. Sometimes I go with what I was originally planning to do. But you'd be amazed at how many times I send that little email out and get an incredible idea back that has nothing to do with their job description. And it amazes me because I hired that person for social media work. And she comes back with an incredible idea for sales. What if I had just pigeonholed her into social media and not even bothered asking her? Would I have ever gotten that out of her? Absolutely not. But because I asked her, I got this incredible idea for sales. So I know for a fact, even with my skill sets, I'm not using and getting 100% out of these people. There's so much more potential in people that you meet and work for you. It's your job as the leader to draw it out, to find it, cultivate it, encourage it. That's the word I was looking for, encourage. Encourage it and get these people moving forward with the company goal. So that's it in a nutshell. That's my interpretation of the maturity continuum from Stephen Covey. And yes, you can Google it, and there's 50 different interpretations, but all of them are basically the same. It's really actually worthwhile. Continuum is difficult to sell. It's Continuum. Continuum. Maturity Continuum. Google it, look at the diagrams, read over them, read several articles on the maturity continuum, and it will make you a better leader, and it'll make you a better human being too. No exaggeration there. Okay, we got to go to break. Phone lines are open for one final segment of today's show, so if you've got a question for me, you need to call now. It's 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV, or email me at asksteve@getrealwealth.com, asksteve@getrealwealth.com. You're listening to AM 700, the voice of Texas. Thanks for listening. Did you know that 95% of Americans fail to retire by age 65 and 36% are dead? The good news is that here at the GetRealWealth.com radio show, we know what the other 5% are doing. 70% of them own real estate. We are a mentoring group for new and experienced real estate investors. We will show you how to build a second stream of income that will allow you to retire at any age. I will be explaining this at a free 2-hour introductory workshop this month. If you would like to attend, please go to GetRealWealth.com. That's GetRealWealth.com. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Remember, you can always find us online at GetRealWealth.com. I did get a couple of emails about what we're doing during the shutdown, and to be honest with you, not much as far as a company. Now, we are doing, immediately after the shutdown is over, multiple online classes for our members, 2, maybe 3, that we will do between now and the 2-day class, which is at the end of April. If you're not a member, we will resume the introductory workshops on April 16th if everything goes as planned. So if you would like to attend that, please go to GetRealWealth.com. Upper right hand corner, it will say free workshop. Click that, and that will allow you to reserve a seat. If we change it because of the COVID, we will, of course, email you and call you and let you know, and we'll change the date. But as of now, I'm in Houston on the 16th and then Dallas on the 18th. So you can reserve a seat to either of those events. But please go on and do it now, even though we may have to reschedule it, just to get it on your calendar, get it in your head that you are coming. In that free workshop, I show you the 9 reasons we chose real estate above all other investment vehicles. I do 13 principles that we use to run our families and businesses. It's a pretty encouraging, according to the reviews, because I always ask, most people say that it's a very encouraging event, and people come out of there believing that they can do something that they came into the event not sure about, or in many cases believing that they couldn't do it. So go to getrealwealth.com, upper right hand corner, click that free workshop and come meet me, and I'll share with you the strategies that I use to change my life. And it's 2 hours, and that's a real time. We start at 6:30 and we're done and out of there before 8:30. I used to hate that. Go to a seminar and they tell you it's 2 hours long and it's 3 hours, 4 hours. Drove me nuts. When we give a time, it's a real time. So go to getrealwealth.com, upper right hand corner, free workshop. Let's talk about renegotiating or retrading a deal. This is an individual, Vanille, who signed a contract in January for a brand new townhome. Since then, Lennar, huge builder across the United States, has started selling for lower prices due to the slowdown from the coronavirus. Well, guess what? Go renegotiate. You say, well, they got me locked in. They got hard earnest money. Well, if your earnest money is $7,500, and if they're now giving $20,000 off of the property, let them have the $7,500 and go get your $20,000 off. Does that make sense? Now, if it's less than a $7,500 discount, then just go on and close. You know, this is a personal residence, I'm assuming, because there's no way you would buy a townhome brand new to lease out. That's psycho. So I'm going to assume this was for your personal residence. So go in. If they're going to knock the price down more than $7,500, and here's the other thing. This happened to me when I purchased my personal residence, and I had no problem going back to them going, you're selling it for $5,000 less. They lowered the price. I don't think you're going to have any problem, Vanille, renegotiating this, because they don't want bad will. They don't want you posting on the internet. There's all kinds of things you can do to mess with them. They're not going to mess with you, I don't think. Then if they stick to their guns and say, no, you got earnest money, we're not going to refund your earnest money, we're not going to lower the price, then you just look at the new price. Is it more than $7,500 less? If it is, let them keep that doggone earnest money and buy it at the lower price. So it's just a numbers game at that point. Okay, phone lines are open, 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV, or email me at asksteve@getrealwealth.com, asksteve@getrealwealth.com. Okay, email here, wishes to remain anonymous. This one I'm going to answer offline because there's some personal information in here. I will say this, that passive investing is where you should be. I would not, with your skill sets and the complaints that you're making, let me share part of the email. This person has no sales experience whatsoever. No property management experience. That I can solve. I can solve the sales experience, but the age, which I'm not going to give out, is older. I don't know if you want to get into property management, and you're sitting on $250,000, and that's just one of your resources. You're really upper 5, 6. Yeah, you got a lot of money spread out. But that $250,000 that's freed up, yeah, I would passively invest. And I will email you after the workshop with an explanation of why based on your email. So I appreciate the email, but I'm going to have to answer the rest of it after the show by email. Okay, phone lines are open, 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. Okay, let's look adding a roommate for financial help. Man, I hit this yesterday. This is the worst idea. Worst idea. Why would you invite a stranger into your home where you're going to have to share common areas, living rooms, bathrooms, definitely the kitchen, refrigerator, appliances? That is the dumbest idea when it comes to quality of life. This is purely a money decision. You're making a money decision. I just need the money. And you're destroying your lifestyle to do this. And when you start making money decisions over lifestyle decisions, you can ruin your life in a very short period, like getting a roommate. You know, if you can't afford the house, you should not have bought it. You really shouldn't have. You should have stayed in. Nothing wrong with living in an apartment. I have tons of clients, past and present, who lived in apartments and had 17 rent houses. Say, well, why didn't they buy their own home? Because they loved apartment living. That was their style. I love apartment living. Women everywhere. Are you kidding me? Apartment living is awesome if that's your lifestyle. So in this particular incident, I've got to tell you, I hate roommates. I've never seen those work out. But if you're going to do it anyway, you make sure that they sign a standard Trek residential lease. You go over every line of it. You check their credit. You check their criminal report. You check their present landlord. You check their previous landlord. You check employment. You verify income. You've got to treat them just like any other tenant. But I'm warning you, roommates suck. So be very careful doing that. Make sure that you get somebody that, I don't know how you would know, but you do your best to make sure that it's somebody fun and has perfect credit. Okay, phone lines are open. Just a couple more minutes. 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. Okay, another question about passive investing. Yes, our members do passive investing. We have several syndicators who are looking for partners, and they're only using partners that are members of Real Wealth Academy. So the answer is yes to that question. Phone lines are open, 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. Seeking appliance recommendations. Now this is a funny one because I've used Samsung forever. Every appliance that goes into my houses, apartments are different, into my single family houses is Samsung. Well, this is a Bigger Pockets comment. Immediately after this question, guess what somebody said? Use anything but Samsung. I'm like, oh my God. It's useless to get recommendations off Bigger Pockets for something like this. Bigger Pocket rocks, don't get me wrong. But yeah, you want to do reviews off of Google. Look at the reviews for these products and buy the best one at the best price that you can get. All right, this has been the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Thanks for listening. Have a great rest of your day.
This has been the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Please remember that this show is for entertainment purposes only and should not be construed as legal, tax, or investing advice. Always get a professional opinion before making any investment decision. To find out about the mentoring and consulting at Real Wealth Academy, visit GetRealWealth.com and attend one of our free introductory workshops on real estate investing. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thanks for listening and have a great rest of your day.